I feel like we need some music. We need to work on that.
Sounds like a perfect opportunity for some karaoke.
Let's hear it, Mike. You're on.
No way. No way. I'm just the idea guy.
I was going to nominate Judy to be our, ambiance person with some music.
Morning, everybody. Everybody's so quiet. Morning, afternoon, evening.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone as well. It is great to see people at the start of the new academic year, so I'd like to welcome everyone to that. Even with the understanding that we're all in flux still from the pandemic. Some of us have welcomed students back to our programs. Some of our programs are still on hold. Some of us are in our offices. Some of us are working remotely. Some of us are traveling for work. It just varies. And that's part of the dynamism of global education and part of the continued energy that you all bring to serving our students and faculty and to being collegial with one another as we seek to move forward in spite of everything going on in the world, to bring global education to our students and our faculty. So I want to start this meeting, as I often do, thanking you for your work, especially as we're not on the other side of the pandemic. We're just in a place where we are dealing with new change and new realities. So thank you for that. I also want to start briefly by setting an agenda and throwing down what might be a challenge for all of us to think about some key strategic areas for the coming year. As you work with your colleagues and your managers and with all of the constituents that cross your path day in and day out, I'd like us to think collectively about 3 themes that I hope we'll be able to to draw into our work in one way, shape, or form. And I just want to briefly touch on these today together. I will send out an email in the coming days about these 3 priorities, but I just want to stimulate you to start thinking about them as you think about goals for the coming year. We know no matter where we sit in the world that climate change and the effects of that and sustainability are at the foremost needs of our time. We simply have to rethink how we interact with the environment, how we are custodians and good stewards of the planet, and we have to find a way forward that asks us to radically reinvent what we do. And that's true in our own personal lives. It's true institutionally. We know Notre Dame, the global forum that the president has chosen this year is on sustainability and care for our common home. Many of us have read Laudato Si and taken its lessons to heart and what Pope Francis exhorts us to do with regard to the climate and to the planet and to building a common home for all of us. I want us as NDI to think about what our responsibilities are to changing how we behave with regards to sustainability and how we might instill better practices both within our organization, but how we might invite the students and faculty that we work with and colleagues at other institutions that we partner with to come along on this journey of sustainability. So I'd like you to think about that. The second topic is one that we took up last year in a much more sustained way and will continue to do so this year, and that is on equity and inclusion, especially as it relates to diversity and multiculturalism. I continue to talk here on campus with my colleagues in the President's Leadership Council that Notre Dame International has an integral role to play in a conversation about what it means to create an inclusive and equitable community and what it means to be able to speak across cultures and across socioeconomic divides and across continental divides and across religious divides as well. So I want us to think wherever we are in the world, in whatever cultural context and geopolitical context we're in, that we think about this issue of equity and inclusion and how might we become more diverse in our makeup and in our work. Finally, one of the things that the provost has talked about publicly in a number of different venues over the past year and a half has been her commitment to reinvigorate Notre Dame's relationships with Latin America. You may have heard her talk about the need to win Latin America. We should have more students from Latin America based on our relationships in the region in the past. We should have more faculty research going on based on the success of some of our existing programs in Chile and Mexico. And how can we build those and actually take those success stories to the wider region in the Western Hemisphere? So even though not all of us are residing in that hemisphere, we might want to think about the ways in which we can bring that programming and build connections with Latin America. So that's something you'll be hearing more about in the weeks and months to come. I will stop there and turn it over to Matt from Ops and Comms because he is next on the agenda. But again, welcome, happy September 1st. And Matt, I turn it over to you.
Great, thanks, Michael. The Ops and Comms team is hard at work on an exhibit for the local history museum here in South Bend. There is a special room at the Center for History exclusively for Notre Dame to present different aspects of the university to the community. The theme of the exhibit is the fabric of a global university. Through this exhibit, we want to show not only how Notre Dame is a force for good all over the world, but also how having a global university impacts the community around it. The exhibit will feature highlights from all of our gateways and centers, a historical timeline of the internationalization of Notre Dame, art from a local artist, and some interactive learning. The exhibit will open in February of 2022. If you have unique international stories or artifacts that you would like to suggest for the exhibit, you can contact me, Colleen, or Diane. Now let's hear from the Global Partnerships and Faculty Outreach team.
Thank you, Matt. 10 NDI research grants have just been awarded in summer 2021, 4 for Asia, 5 for Mexico, and 1 for research with PUC in Chile. We were delighted with the submissions and selected proposals, as it was required that the collaborations be conducted virtually. Graduate students are centrally involved in half of the projects as well. Thank you to all the NDI team members around the world who shared such great information with us for our annual endowment and capital reports. Our donors are certain to be pleased with the reports of so much continued activity despite travel restrictions. And all 34 Greater China scholars have arrived at Notre Dame in the past 3 weeks. For half of them, this is the first time that they'll see campus. 20% of the cohort returned after 17 months physical separation from the university. Congratulations to Greater China scholars on the long-awaited reunion. The Global Engagement Programs team is up next.
In July, the Global Engagement Program team had our very first virtual ILED program with 23 international high school students from 11 countries, our most diverse group yet. The program delivered our classic schedule that incorporated classes from every college, leadership seminars with the capstone project, and multiple cultural workshops. From June to August, our undergraduate research program, iSure, also hosted 23 international undergraduates. 19 of these students conducted research virtually with our faculty, while 4 were able to come to campus. Lastly, our team just welcomed a total of 21 exchange and 2 American semester abroad students to campus for fall 2021. They are from 12 countries and 14 partner institutions. Next up, study abroad.
Hello, everyone. This is Brigida Richmond calling in. On behalf of the Study Abroad team, I'm happy to share our updates with you. First, we would like to welcome the newest member of our team, Maggie Hook. Welcome, Maggie. Second, Study Abroad is back. We are delighted to announce that we are now accepting applications for the 2022-2023 semester and summer programs. We will also hold Study Abroad Week September 20th through September 24th. The team will work with the gateways and centers to offer both virtual and in-person events. Finally, we have 4 new semester programs that are now taking applications. University of Durham in Durham, England, Leuven University in Leuven, Belgium, Ukraine Catholic University in Lviv, Ukraine, and Tel Aviv University in Jerusalem, Israel. And we are also adding 7 new summer programs for the summer 2022. We are excited to see what the next year holds for Study Abroad. Thank you. We will next hear from Issa.
Someone speaking from ISSA, you may be muted.
Sorry about that. Yes. Hello, everyone. Reporting for the ISSA team. We were doing a lot of planning this summer, getting ready for our welcome events. We were mostly on campus, but we still continue to utilize virtual appointments along with newly walk-in hours. It is great to have the energy of the students back in the office, and we had a staff retreat in August to give us a chance to reaffirm our advising values and principles as we welcome students and scholars back to campus. Now we will hear from our global teams, starting with the sensational Sao Paulo.
Morning. So our center had a very successful GP program with 2 students participating in 2 great organizations here in Brazil. Over 30 Brazilian students have started their undergraduate programs this fall, and our center gave all the support that they needed before they left Brazil. And we also participate in the Latin America Alumni Association send-off. I also participate in the annual Education USA Forum in sessions on new trends in the international education. Our Instagram followers have increased in over 160% in the last few months. Our center has also been participating in a task force for this year's forum, and also in organizing an event with other Latin America global centers. And we are going to have a roundtable in November about indigenous population in our countries. We are also participating in the DEI task force too. So now we are helping to recruit students for undergraduate and graduate programs, and also NDI summer and semester programs. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Santiago, you are up next.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to tell you that last week, the Santiago Global Center team was able to meet in person after a year and a half, and I had the chance to see my colleagues after 4 months of working together and only seeing each other through Zoom. For the past months, we have been in the process of having new courses approved as core curriculum, which is really great for us. Plus, we are getting ready to receive approximately 25 students in Santiago next spring 2022. And we are designing and planning a proposal for a summer program for which Professor Maria Olivera Williams from the Romance Language Department will come to teach in Santiago. We're very excited working with our colleagues of the LATAM region also on a series of roundtables, and the first one has been proposed to be held virtually on November 2021 with the topic of Latin American Indigenous Perspective on Sustainability. I will now pass it off to Rome.
Thank you, Claudia. Good afternoon from sunny Rome. I'm pleased to share with you some numbers that eloquently describe the successes of this first week. We just welcomed to Rome 45 students and 8 graduate students from the School of Architecture, 15 AME students who also reside at the Villa, our Rome residence, and 32 students from a Rome undergraduate program. I'm also pleased to introduce 3 new hires, Anna Ricidiano, Events and Logistics Specialist, and our two new ARs, Vincenzo Randazzo and Vita Maria Papa. From an academic perspective, we just welcomed Dr. Maria Sole Costanzo, who earned her doctorate from Notre Dame. She will join Dr. Daria Borghese in expanding and enriching the course All Roads Lead to Rome. This class, taught by our faculty member, Chiara Sbordoni, will be enriched by the contribution of these 2 outstanding scholars. Finally, on a lighter note, we are excited to host on September 18th, comedian Academy Award Director winner Roberto Benigni. The event will celebrate the arts and Benigni's work on his fellow Tuscan, the poet Dante Alighieri. We hope this number and successes will continue to grow. Next up, Mumbai.
Thank you, Federico, and namaste from Mumbai. These past few months have been really exciting for us in Mumbai. Our 3 VGPE students successfully completed their program, and our host organizations are now hopeful of in-person internships during the next cycle of the program. India sent her largest cohort of undergraduate students to campus this fall. We had 12 first-year students who will call different dorms on campus as their home for the next 4 years. And I had the opportunity to meet many of them in person in Mumbai and in New Delhi before they left for campus. It's going to be an exciting year on campus for us. The MGC will be receiving a US consulate grant to conduct virtual panel discussions, workshops, and lectures over the next 12 months on topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion. These workshops will enable HEI administrators in India to learn from the US counterparts on important issues such as LGBTQ rights, working with students with disabilities, and workings of international offices to help increase diversity on their campuses. Catherine Wilson has been instrumental in helping getting this grant off the ground, and I look forward to her continued support and partnership as we implement going forward. On 30th June 2021, I was provided the opportunity to moderate a closed-door roundtable organized by the US Consulate on opportunities and challenges faced by US college representatives in India and considering the present health situation. This meeting was attended by 12 US college representatives and members of the consulate staff and will help the consulate and EdUSA consider its programming and initiatives to assist US colleges in India for the coming year. I will now pass this off to Helen in London.
Good afternoon. From London, the headlines today. The London Global Gateway successfully welcomed its first cohort of students and visiting faculty since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020. After weeks of military precision planning, over 100 students arrived last week to a program of testing, orientation, and excursions. The fall term has also seen the launch of the new London seminars. Compulsory for all students, these classes are small group seminar-style classes deeply embedded in the Gateway's location in London, the UK, and Europe, and involve a significant component of student-directed research. London faculty and staff also prepare for the next event in the Shakespeare Lecture 10th Anniversary Series. Entitled Shakespeare in the Community, Emerging Voices, the lecture is intended to centre marginalised communities, including the deaf community, disadvantaged children, and the incarcerated. And finally, the Chesterton Archive is now in situ at the London Global Gateway. Led by Alice Tyrrell, Charlotte Parkin, and Father Jim Lees, it is hoped that the collection will soon be made available to researchers and students. Now over to David Harrison at Calmore.
Hi guys, we were delighted to be able to host a program for the public at Calmore once again. We held a 5-day writing residency with the second week of August and the second iteration of the Healing Through Narrative in place, and a 3-day writing retreat to the local author, Notre Dame graduate Betsy Cornwell. Both programs were met with such demand that we have added an extra date in October. We just also finished our 5th Calmore book club titled Help to Clonit, Stories of Irish Resilience, which focused on history, music, politics, culture of Ireland through the lens of rugby. The local book club was run in the partnership with Notre Dame Rugby and Connacht Rugby and featured input from Notre Dame NUIG professors, as well as international athletes and musicians, including Phil Coulter, and who was welcome to Calmore in person. We are also happy to welcome back our students who arrived yesterday and are going to spend a semester in Galway, half of whom will be conducting a one-on-one research with professors at Lamb Institute at NUIG. And over to the guys over in Jerusalem.
Thank you, David. Hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to be with you all today. I'm Julius Asfour, Director of Finance at UMDT Jerusalem. I will only take a few moments to speak about our latest key updates. First, we are super happy to welcome Gabrielle Mitchell as Director of Undergraduate Studies. Gabby joined us in mid-August, just in time to prepare and welcome our undergraduate students. Second, albeit smaller in numbers, we are delighted to have on-site programs again. Our undergraduate students are back after 1.5 years without any Notre Dame students being physically present in Jerusalem. And we have started our second cohort Arabic language course to the State Department, this time in person and with 5 instead of 1 day a week. Third and last, our team in collaboration with Bethlehem University and the Bolt Institute has been awarded a one-time $60,000 grant to develop a social innovation and entrepreneurship program. This course will bring our students and students from Bethlehem University together to study social innovation and entrepreneurship that include a field placement in startup and or entrepreneurial companies in Palestine. Thank you, and now we will hear from Hong Kong.
Hi everyone, greeting from Hong Kong. Want to share some good news that Kailin Tsai is an Notre Dame Olympic fencer from Hong Kong. She is the youngest among all the Olympic athletes from Notre Dame. I hope like Colin thanks Colin, will be interviewing her and then trying to have a story from an international student going to the Olympic. And then the Hong Kong Global Center arranged a welcome event for her in Hong Kong with our alumni and parents. So we have a wonderful time. Also, 5 students finished their VGPE. One of the students also designed a special vaccinated mask for Hong Kong and also did it for charity. So we were going to promote that with Kailin, our fencer, and alum and parents in Hong Kong. Also recently, we also met with the physiology program, which is planning for something seminar in Hong Kong for the Rome Catholic Association. Also, one exchange student just arrived in Hong Kong, and she is under quarantine, and she will be exchanging with HKUST. Also, we recently welcomed two fresh grad students from China going to work in Hong Kong in different companies. So we are going to expand our network in Hong Kong and also in the Greater Bay Area. Thank you.
Hello from Dublin. In addition to a variety of virtual internships, research projects, and summer courses offered this summer, and as restrictions finally eased in Ireland in late July, we were delighted to help facilitate an in-person 2-week graduate internship at the Bobeck Archaeological Dig in Ireland's Boyne Valley. Elizabeth Gardner, a 2021 ND grad with a bachelor's in civil engineering, joined the dig to uncover the oldest known evidence of the presence of French Cistercian monks in Ireland, dating back to the early 1300s. Her work was supervised by Dublin City University professor Matthew Stout and Boyne Valley expert archaeologist Geraldine Stout. Elizabeth's illustrated renditions of the structures and layout of the medieval Cistercian farm will be used in publications and on placards as they plan to open the site to the public after the excavation is complete. We would also like to welcome our new campus minister, Ryan McNeilis, to our team. Ryan is a 2021 ND grad with a bachelor's in economics and minors in data science and Catholic social teaching. Ryan will be providing pastoral support to our students as they begin their study abroad journeys next week. And finally, I'll now pass it off to the Beijing team, who will finish out the headline portion of the Global Town Hall.
Thank you, Maggie. Here's what's going on in Beijing. BGG's Research and Partnership Incubator Program aims to facilitate conversations between Notre Dame faculty and their counterparts in mainland China, promote mutual understanding of the academic interests, and cultivate research and other scholarly collaborations. Participating in this program, Professor Anthony Simonetti from Notre Dame's Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering and Earth Science had several meetings with Professor Xu from Peking University in China. As a result, he applied to the NDI Asia Research Collaboration Grant for this academic year, and his proposal was approved. On July 27th, Regan Lee from our Gateway, together with another alum and a senior student, both of whom are Notre Dame Greater China scholars, talked about the time management in college in a virtual event organized by Education USA, a U.S. Department of State network of student advising centers overseas. During the virtual GPE program this past summer, 9 Notre Dame students were placed in 2 Chinese companies, Xiaomi and Haitou Global. Okay, that wraps up the headline section of the Global Town Hall. It's my privilege to introduce the features section. First up, you will learn more about a special event hosted here in Beijing to celebrate the Notre Dame graduates who were unable to attend their own graduation ceremony. After that, we will check in with Rome to get a recap on the summer architecture program and the lessons learned from our first program abroad since the pandemic. Hi, Regan, you're up first.
On July 18th, the Beijing Global Gateway hosted a special graduation ceremony to honor 5 Chinese students who were unable to attend the commencement ceremony on campus in May due to the global pandemic. The ceremony was co-sponsored by the Department of East Asian Languages and Cultures, International Student and Scholar Affairs, the Liu Institute for Asia and Asian Studies, and Multicultural Student Programs and Services. The ceremony included recorded remarks by Michael Pippinger and Michelle Hawks, director of the Liu Institute, a keynote address by Shan Huang, president of the Beijing Alumni Club and deputy managing editor of Caixin Media, live closing remarks by Jonathan Noble, and online congratulations from Notre Dame faculty and staff. The 5 graduates also reflected on the Notre Dame journey and shared their experiences with the audience. Two of them even wrote and performed a Chinese rap. The high point of the ceremony was a presentation of the students' diplomas and the secret graduation gifts sent from their departments and colleges. The ceremony concluded with the singing of the alma mater, Notre Dame Our Mother, and acknowledgement of the event supporters. Video clips from the commencement ceremony in May were utilized to help the attendees feel connected to the graduation on campus. The ceremony was followed by a special lunch for the students, their families, Notre Dame alum and parent representatives, and strategic partners of the university. During lunch, congratulatory videos recorded by friends and classmates of the graduates were showed.
Hi Iman, congratulations on graduating. Thank you for being my Asian twin since day one in architecture school.
The ceremony was meaningful and successful. A parent of one of the graduates said, We did not think there would be such a grand and special graduation ceremony. We don't know how we could say thank you enough. The ceremony was also live-streamed, and 145 people watched it on the day. The post-event news release on BGG's website was picked up by the Department of Political Science, the Liu Institute for Asia and Asian Studies, and the College of Science. On social media, the news was shared by the School of Architecture and ND Loyal. Finally, a special congratulations to our 5 graduates: He Yuanmeng, Mao Yixuan, Wang Yiman, Yu Jingjing, and Zheng Tianze.
In early April, we, like all of you, learned of the university's decision to suspend outbound summer programs. While we were certainly disappointed, we also knew there was a chance that an exception could be made for the Rome Studies architecture program. The difficulty was we would not know whether or not even this were possible until the release of the next governmental decree. Several weeks passed, the decree was made public, and on April 30th, we learned that the program was a go. 4 graduate students and 56 undergrads would be on their way to Rome in 4 weeks' time. In response, a meeting was called to identify, organize, and divvy up all there was to do. Very quickly, a central question emerged. How would we and our partners in the School of Architecture safely and successfully run the Rome Studies program when public guidelines and best practices were non-existent or at best ever-changing? Were site visits and field trips even a viable option? What would surveillance testing look like for us at the villa? And what structures would be needed to support students in quarantine and isolation? These and other questions were addressed one by one through an extraordinarily collaborative effort on both sides of the pond. The students arrived safe and sound, and as I think you'll hear in the coming conversations, the program has been a positive and formative experience for all.
As villa staff, we made sure that all COVID-19 regulations that were put in place, such as social distancing and wearing masks, were observed. Students were extremely receptive to these new rules and were able to make the most of villa community life and life in Rome.
We heard the news that we were not going to go to Rome in the summer between our sophomore and junior year, which was not fun, to say the least, because we've been looking forward to it for a very long time. But in our minds, we just keep rocking and rolling. We went into the school year just fine. And we were really bummed at first to learn about everything we missed out on. So all of our classes about Rome, when we were in Rome, it was kind of sad to see. But it turned out, in the end, that was fantastic, because when we finally got to Rome, we knew sort of the celebrities we finally got to see. We knew the map of Rome that we've been waiting so long to finally get to. And we got there, and when we went to go see everything, we found out of all the treasures along the way, because at the end, a year and a half of studies of Rome only barely scratches the surface of what is here. So to finally get here, to see everything we wanted to, but then to find all these new and exciting things about architecture, about sculpture, about painting, about construction, about history, that was incredible.
We were all very lucky to be able to experience Rome to the amount of depth that we were through these 9 weeks over the summer. Even though it's a lot more time and a lot more of a condensed program than usual, the lack of studio and also the freedom to explore the city in all its layers at our own pace was very freeing, very eye-opening, being able to see the city both through sketching, through the eyes of professors we spoke to, through cultural experiences such as helping out at Sant'Egidio, all allowed us to gain a new sense of the depth that Rome has to offer, but at our pace and kind of in our style as well.
Thank you everyone, for those who participated in the video, both the students and of course Constance and the others, Mallory, who put it together. At this point, Colleen and others, we thought we would open it up for questions that may be there on, again, reopening after a year and a half after the pandemic or transitioning to the fall. Just a couple of minutes for open questions.
I actually have a question. First of all, congratulations on running the program. And I was just wondering if you had to make any major changes to the regular program, and if you had to, what were those major changes you had to do to make it run properly?
Thank you, Felipe. I imagine you're referring to the summer program?
Yes.
Or are
yes.
you talking about the fall?
The summer, yeah.
There were many changes that needed to happen. Of course, the collaboration with the School of Architecture from an academic standpoint was key, because the first major change was the duration of the program. It was condensed in 9 weeks. So they had to come up with creative ways of combining the academic work that had been done on campus with the sightseeing and the work that happened here. So they spent very little time in this building. They were mostly outside, but that presented challenges on its own, because the regulations on what could be done in groups outside, field trips and so on, kept on changing along essentially those before and during their time here. Flexibility, I guess, was the name of the game, but also keeping to updating ourselves on what the changes required.
Thank you.
Of course.
Sylvia, I have a question. It's me, Judy, in the big room. So could you talk a little bit about student well-being, both during that time, and I know it's early days with your new group. Do you find that there's any sort of undue fear or concern among the students being abroad during the pandemic? And also on the flip side, because all of the gateways and centers where our students have this new sort of COVID policies and procedures document, which I guess we'll call them restrictions, in order to mitigate risk. Have they been, let's say, well behaved in their following of those restrictions and understanding them? Have you encountered any issues with that? So I guess two things. Are any undue fear or concern among the students about being abroad, and then the reaction to sort of the new policies that allow them to be there?
Thank you, Judy. Well, we'll talk about the summer briefly. In terms of students' reactions to the policies, I think they were extremely positive. We didn't have any disciplinary issue of any kind with students. For the summer, travel outside of Italy was prohibited, and students received really, I think the overwhelming feeling was gratitude to be able to be here. We heard this over and over from students. As far as the fall is, so with regards to restrictions and the fall, some things have changed both in terms of regulations and in terms of internal policies, not gateways policies as well as campus policies. What we've seen so far is a very enthusiastic group of students. The conversations I've had with them, some have raised questions about is this Delta variant, how is it going in Italy? Is this going to have an impact on us? I think we're all being very honest with each other in terms of what can or cannot be possible for them to do at this time. And as long as this open communication is understood to students, from students to be for their own good and for the safety of all, I think we're in the best place that we can be. Yesterday, we ran our surveillance testing and we had 0 positive cases, which was an exceptional, from my perspective, exceptional result. So for that, we're very grateful. And I think with this, we've probably covered all the time we had at our disposal. So I'm happy to check in back with Amber, who will help us dig a little bit deeper into the iSure program. Thank you.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about iSure. iSure stands for International Summer Undergraduate Research Experience. This program invites international students to participate in current research endeavors of the university. Every summer, the students work directly with our faculty members in their research groups and labs while fully immersing themselves in the campus community. With the generous support from our faculty members and academic departments, this program has hosted more than 300 international students with over 50 research projects in the past 7 summers. We are proud to report that many of these students had returned to Notre Dame for degree-seeking graduate programs, predominantly doctoral programs. This program has grown into a very popular, competitive, and reputable US REU experience among international partners and students. This summer, even with the pandemic, we were able to have 4 students on campus and 19 students virtually. Take a look.
Hi, my name is David Tsuxian Lin, and I'm from California, San Diego. I'm a second-year student in the community college, but I'm soon transferring into UCLA to continue my undergraduate study.
I'm Maria. I go to USC, and I'm a rising senior currently, and I major in human biology.
My name is Mo, and I'm a senior at the University of Maryland.
I'm from UC Davis, and I study material science and engineering, and I'm also a rising senior.
I want to come to iSure, do some in-person research program to give me myself more understanding of what a research should be like and what a PhD's life is like, so I can more certain of myself which way should I go.
Just pragmatically speaking, because of the COVID situation, I couldn't really do much research in LA because it's pretty severe over there and it's pretty restricted. So in order to apply to graduate school, I think it would be better to have more research experience.
I'm here working in the Center for Research Computing with Dr. Paul Brenner, but then since I'm majoring in psychology, we are focusing on the computing side of social sciences.
So for me, I'm working on organic electrolytes for batteries or fuel cells. So this is actually very close to my major because it's all related to those kind of energy materials.
And I really enjoyed the vibe in the lab in general because everyone is super friendly because you share a lab, you definitely need to ask them like how to use this apparatus and where is this reagent, stuff like that.
I would say my biggest takeaway from my research experience is that I learned how to use computer programming myself as a tool to conduct those data analyses, which are really, really interesting to see, as sometimes we have all bunches of information in forms of data, but we don't know what to get out of it. But through this program, I learned how to use tools that would create illustration and get information of it, and I can share this finding with people who are in the other area, and we can, based on this finding, to have a specific goal in mind to work on. I must say, I haven't seen so many green things in my life like for such a long time, as like Notre Dame is just gorgeous. It's like trees, grass everywhere. It's like I'm living in a huge park. And specifically, I really love the library. It's like my second home. I think I spend more time in the library than in my dorm.
After like being here for a while, I got used to it. I really like it here. It's so pretty, the architecture especially, the churches.
I think the program is really good. It's definitely an experience that worth to try.
I just kind of like this experience kind of confirmed my like passion in like this direction, and like I'm more determined in applying for a PhD program.
Okay, so next up we have a video highlighting some of the challenges and solutions about running study abroad programs again in Jerusalem and Dublin, and we'll hear firsthand from one student of their experience so far here in London.
The ways that we were able to stay involved was actually with the creative programming that NDI was able to start, such as the virtual global professional experience programs. So we were able to have a cohort of students both in December, January, during sort of the winter interterm, as well as students that joined us this summer virtually. And so for us, it was a great way of kind of continuing to stay connected with students and help them think about their career paths, as well as their sort of ability to learn more about Israel-Palestine.
These past 18 months really have forced us to go and look back at our fundamentals. What are the main cultural elements that we want to hit while we're here? What are the main historical points that we want to express to students? And so we've had the time to kind of sit and look and really pick out those elements of Irish culture that really sing for our students, that really engage with those kind of touch points across the ocean here. And in addition, we've had the time to look at considerations that students have why they study abroad. So things around the risk assessment, the financial assessment, things that really make students rank their choices in the way that they do, and what makes a certain location attractive, and what we can improve on in terms of offering opportunities for students who might not normally think of Ireland as their destination. Obviously, this has to do with the pandemic and how the pandemic has affected life here in Ireland. Students are wondering what their experience will be like, what opportunities will be available to them. And we're very lucky that when we welcome students back here in the autumn, we're coming back to a country that will be nearly fully reopened. They can travel anywhere in the country they please to see any of the magnificent landscapes, or even cities and towns that dot Ireland's beautiful landscape.
One of the benefits to my, if there was one of my being in the US so long, was that because I was working near the Notre Dame campus, I was invited to kind of help with a variety of the COVID responses on the main campus. And so one of the ways that I was assisting the university was as a contact tracer. And so I now have my contact tracer qualifications and certification to bring to Israel, to our program. So when we were thinking about how do we assist our students, and if there were to be a case here, what does quarantine look like? What does isolation look like? I was able to give very good sort of public health background of what we needed to kind of keep the community safe, as well as just kind of thinking about for ourselves, we often have guests from around the world that are staying with us either on pilgrimage or for some of our continuing education programs. So trying to think about what do we need to keep this entire community safe, who's engaging in the local area in very different ways. We are thrilled that students will be back. Tantor is a huge facility and we've got great grounds, and it's been empty except for our staff for basically, a year and a half now.
It's been far too long living in a very quiet, empty house, and we can't wait for 49 joyful voices to fill the space once more.
I'm so excited to be here in London. I feel like obviously it's been a long time coming. I've always wanted to come to London as well. I've been so excited about the art scene and just being able to be here with my friends and meeting different classmates. It's so nice to be finally somewhere else and exploring this country. It's been amazing so far. I've loved it, and I just feel like it's crazy to go out and I was saying this to one of my friends as I was just walking through Trafalgar Square, which is just crazy that that's just outside our window and we can just walk through there. I'm like, it is so weird and amazing to be walking through a place and kind of living in a place that people come to visit. And this is people's big trip to come here, and we get the pleasure of living here for 4 months. It's really amazing. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been overwhelming just to sort of adjust with the time and the room situation and all of the tiny staircases that they make you go up, because I'm like, what? This is definitely not the US anymore. But yeah, just the adjusting has been a little bit difficult. Of course, I miss my family, but ultimately I'm so excited to be here.
Hello, I am here to talk about our undergraduate international student orientation that happened a few weeks ago. I'm super excited, and our team has been really excited because the last 18 months have certainly been relentless in our advising and our reporting work and managing the immigration regs, and we have really missed out on the work of welcome. And this year was truly a significant amount of welcome as we brought in more than 565 students to campus in the last 3 months, organized conversations about their status. Our undergraduate population included our non-degree seeking students, our degree seeking students who could not get here in fall of 2020, and our students who are just arriving on campus for the first time to start their programs here in fall of 2021. But also our doctoral students, our master's students, a good number of students who have been trying to get to campus in the last year, and those who were here ready to start their programs for the first time this semester. But we're focusing on our undergraduates. That whole week of August 16th, we had lots of activities, but across the 2 days of the International Student Orientation on August 18th and August 19th, we had hundreds of espresso drinks that we served in the afternoon to revive after a lot of programming, our vendors at the resource fair, a lot of conversations about how to maintain status, and more than 100 parents were able to come, which was a wonderful celebration as we watched them support their students in starting their time at the university. So enjoy a little clip, a couple of video clips of the International Student Orientation, and thank you to all of you who helped welcome our undergraduate and graduate students this year.
Hi, welcome to International Student Orientation.
It is with deep gratitude and joy that we get to welcome you all to campus today.
Orientation is pretty nice. It's very hectic, converting everything to the US system, Celsius, Fahrenheit, meters and feet and everything. It's nice to hear all the different accents, you know, like the Italian accent and the Chinese accent. And like, you know, it's very nice. It's a very international atmosphere. It's very relaxing. You know, we're easing into the heat as well. To be fair, like, you know, I'm from India and I think it's hot.
I love the people that I met. My dorm is so beautiful. So excited to meet my roommate. She's American. And I love the cultural experience that we're having in orientation. Like, we're doing a game right now with all the international students. So we're meeting people from all over the world. And it's just fun and light. It makes me really happy to be here.
Kind of like a full circle kind of experience. Like, I remember I was in their shoes and now I'm the ones kind of like taking them around, kind of like preparing them for what's to come in the school year. So it's like, it's a really like kind of like nice and touching experience for me.
Hello, everyone. This is Corey. And coming up next, I'm going to introduce to you an exciting new database. This is a project I've been working on for several months. I was tasked with collecting various data points from NDI and campus divisions to tell the story of Notre Dame's internationalization effort. The database was developed in Tableau, and I would like to give you a sneak peek today of some of the features. Here we are at the landing page. The landing page is a summary of the various worksheets in this Tableau collection. In addition to the landing page, there are 6 worksheets: international students and scholars, study abroad programs, research, partnerships, faculty degrees, and alumni. You can navigate through each worksheet by clicking on the tabs across the top or by using the arrows on either side. Each worksheet is made up of a data set, a filter, and finally a map. You can easily filter on a particular aspect of data, and changes will be reflected in the other areas of the worksheet. In this example, let's choose Africa as our region. Notice the changes on the map. This represents the countries and number of students who have studied on campus during the past 5 years. You can also hover on a country to see a particular data point, or you may simply filter on the country. Additionally, we have the capability to see trends over time, as illustrated on the study abroad map. Or perhaps you have an interest in knowing the top study abroad programs. Each worksheet in the collection has similar features and capabilities. So what's next? Currently, the database is in review with my OIT colleagues. Once I receive their feedback on the technical aspects, I will circulate the database throughout NDI for your feedback, and then on to faculty focus groups. After all the suggestions are reviewed and incorporated, the database will become available to members of our Notre Dame community through tableau.nd.edu.
I'd like to wrap up with both a practical request and also a reflection. So first, the practical request. Both Father Bob and Lisa, who's unable to be with us today because she's working with orienting students at NUI Galway, asked me to share with people in the chat, and we'll also send this via email later, a sustainability survey asking you to think about how we can be more sustainable. So building on the remarks that I made earlier. But watch for an email about that link, but I wanted to give people that in the chat as a preview as well. The other thing that I wanted to say as part of my closing remarks, people have been very supportive and encouraging, as you're seeing right now, in response to Corey's fantastic work on the database project, but you've been doing that to each other throughout the hour together as we've reported on different things. I started our meeting today, being very focused on aspirational goals and ambitions and large scale themes. And that work is important and we should take it seriously. But in the course of the hour, another side of NDI is also in full evidence. And I want to be sure that we connect the dots as a group to see that. The work we do really is about creating magic. And I think we don't often talk about that, right? We are focused on work, preparing for the students to arrive, making sure that their experience is good. We have lists of things that we have to do. We have meetings we have to go to. We're always on an agenda. We always feel like there's more in our inbox that we need to respond to. But just in this hour together, we've talked about bringing Roberto Benigni to our students. We've talked about the enthusiasm of the largest number of Brazilian students we've ever had on campus. We've talked about students and faculty doing research in a UNESCO World Heritage Site to uncover the oldest examples of French monks in Ireland. We've talked about sessions at Kylemore that were so exciting that we extended them a day, as you heard David say, because of the buzz. You saw the students' enthusiasm, whether they were ND students thankful about being in London or about non-ND students who were here on the iSure program and thinking about how they could make a home under the dome here. You saw the magic that the Beijing Global Gateway created in developing a whole new graduation ceremony for students that might have felt left behind or not seen and heard in the pandemic. You heard Mallory and Sylvia and the team in Rome talk about their work in bringing a program back into reality in remarkable fashion. We heard about a Hong Kong Olympian. These are remarkable things, people. We should be very grateful, and I want to encourage you not to lose sight amidst all the work that that's a really remarkable network of experiences, and you all are essential to making that happen, right? You create the magic so those students feel cared for and loved, and we also should remember that we experience this. It's pretty remarkable that we'll get to hear Roberto Benigni if we're in Rome, or we get to hear Dame Judi Dench. We're involved in the arts, we're involved in athletics, we're involved in helping people cross borders at times where most people can't travel and aren't able to travel, right? That's magical. So don't ever forget that, and don't ever forget that you're creating that magic. I wish everyone a wonderful start to the new semester wherever you are. Please stay healthy and well, and we will be in touch in 3 dimensions as well as 2 in the weeks and months ahead. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.
Hi everyone. Io lo so fare. Pensavo il jazz.